Hello, my beautiful friends and fellow seekers, and welcome to our Scorpio New Moon chat. And what a beautiful new moon this is going to be on November 4th. This moon encompasses some of the most, I think, quintessential and important energies of living the mystery of this life, because this new moon is really going to ask us to not just find acceptance with how we are changing, right? But to find safety and comfort in relaxing into the mystery of this becoming, this unknowing that is this life so often. And not only for it to be just like, okay, I guess I can deal with it. I can deal with how I'm changing or shifting or the unknown or the path ahead, but that I can actually feel safe as I move through these waters, as I don't know all the answers. That's okay. And before we even get into the real core of this chat today, I just wanted to, before I sat down today, I was just thinking about this kind of role of like teacher and discussion leader, and sitting here and having these conversations, which I love to do so much, but I really wanted to just address that, I'm also going through a healing journey of a lifetime. And there are days when I am so in alignment, I'm so clear, and I feel very much like I'm connected to all these beautiful lessons. And there are days when I feel very far away from it and I'm struggling and I'm moving through my old haunted houses and other parts of myself as I'm learning and growing and challenging myself, and also walking around in the mystery and wondering what else it's going to reveal to me next. And I just think it's so important to acknowledge that, when we're having these discussions, when I'm talking about something like the Scorpio New Moon or anything else, that it's also a challenge to me to really take a moment and look inside and ask myself these same questions as I'm going on this healing journey with you all and as I go deeper into it. And I think that's just important, because when I'm talking about accepting our transformation, I want you to know I'm working on this too. I'm not sitting here from the outside just talking about it from a comfortable distance. I'm right in there with you all. So let's get into this new moon and what's going on, because on the aspect conversation, this is a very, very straightforward moon, because we have the sun and moon coming together, making that new moon at 12 degrees of Scorpio, creating a new moon that is really about coming home to ourselves in our transformation. New moons are a time of deep inner reflection. And then, of course, Scorpio energy is about being our own best sleuths, right? Going into the core of ourselves, sitting with our central selves. And I think often, the popular, fun, playful representation of Scorpio energy is much more about like horror movies and scary stories, which is really fun. But I do find that Scorpio energy is really here to help us heal, help us get comfortable with our transformational selves, help us get comfortable with the hidden realm of the world. And even to like help us feel comfortable in just the way that we are changing or growing. And it's there to kind of bring us full circle and bring us home. Scorpio energy is a fixed sign energy. So this is about something sustainable, something that can live with you for a long time, not just something that's flying through as a trend or a quick fix, but as something that we want to build into over time. And I think that's such an important part of Scorpio energy that's often forgotten, that it is a fixed sign energy of slow nurturing growth, slow nurturing exploration, expansion, and transformation. And so right away, I just want to affirm that. However, this new moon is also going to be opposing the planet of quick and sudden transformation, Uranus, who will be exactly opposing this new moon at 12 degrees of Taurus. So we're activating the Taurus-Scorpio axis of birth and death, death and rebirth, really powerful quintessential energy for us here, right? Because this is about skin shedding. This is about becoming our next selves. This is about allowing ourselves to flower into a new phase of our lives. Now, Uranus can be about sudden change, but I think Uranus in Taurus is also about long-term growth, how we build into our new selves, how we build into transformation in the subtle, in the soft, in the depths, in the little incremental things that happen over time. And that's why I think, sometimes with a new moon like this, where you've got the new moon in Scorpio, the intense Scorpio, you got Uranus over in Taurus, these really, really bold, vibrant energies. On the surface, it's really tempting to get in there and be like, this is going to be dramatic. This is going to be explosive. This is going to be about clashes. But to me, when I look at this opposition, I genuinely see and feel that this is about how we create sustainable transformation within ourselves, how we allow the transformation to hold us securely and lovingly, not just as an agent of chaos or some kind of destructive force, but as something that is flowering from within us, that is this warm internal hearth and system that when we sit with it, we re-access what this is really all about. So that's really the big aspect going on here with this new moon. And what's really interesting about this too is that Uranus has been deeply involved with the new moons for the last 4 months. Ever since the Leo new moon in August, we've been having Uranus either squared the new moon in Leo, it trined, I believe, the new moon in Virgo. Like, it's been doing this whole thing. So now it's full on opposing the new moon in Scorpio. And I feel like it's closing out kind of a 3 or 4 month process of us getting comfortable with how we're changing and shifting and growing and moving into who we are becoming. And so this may also feel like a moon that is bringing something into full view for you, as even though it's a new moon, right? So it's not about illumination. It's not about endings necessarily. It's kind of about the opening to what is next. I think this could also be a time of kind of fruition, of understanding the transformation at a deeper level. It's also interesting because this new moon is happening. This is the last new moon before we start eclipse season. Our next Moon Magic Chat is going to be for the Taurus full moon and partial lunar eclipse happening in a couple weeks. And so we're also kind of preparing and laying the ground to open our hearts, to get relaxed, to be with ourselves so that we can move through eclipse season and do any of that shifting around that we want to do from a place of feeling like we can trust ourselves. Sounds like a really good idea to me to go into eclipse season not ready for drama, not braced for misunderstanding or fear or pain, but relaxed into ourselves, relaxed into a deep, deep trust in ourselves. Because some of the questions that came up for me here in the self-reflection of this new moon in Scorpio, of this time of really letting ourselves settle into the depths of ourselves and just listening and taking a look around, some of the questions that came up are questions like these. Does it feel like you're getting away with something if you let yourself transform with ease, with love, with kindness, with softness, when you let yourself rest when you need to rest or move when you need to move? Does it feel like you're getting away with something if you aren't looking for the things that hurt to prove that you're valuable, right? Like, these kind of questions are coming up because what this Scorpio new moon really wants from us is to take a breath and love ourselves through the transformation, love ourselves in the midst of it, because we're always in unknowing and mystery at some level in this life. And I think the longer you're alive, I've noticed this as I keep growing into my life, the more I realize that the mystery never stops. I remember being, 15, and you're kind of sold this thing, especially in the US, of, there's a formula. You graduate, get a job, you have a family, a house, whatever, right? Like, a lot of places in the world have some form of this, right? And then at some point, maybe like 25 or something, the mystery will stop. You'll just know what you're doing, and you can just wake up in the morning and do your routine, and you'll just be good with it. You'll have figured it out. And I've found that actually the mystery amplifies as we grow into our lives. So it's kind of a good idea, I think. Personally, this is something I've come to over the years, to relax into our transformation and think of it as an ally, of something that loves us, that holds us, that wants to be with us, that's like a mechanism of that beautiful divine source energy, rather than this thing that keeps surprising us or freaking us out. And so this new moon is really asking for us to come back home to that and choose that space instead, right? To be with the transformation rather than against it. And I'm not saying you all are against it. I think a lot of people right now are ready to shed a skin, to change, to make changes, to open those new chapters, to start a new year, to start a new adventure. I think that that is a very strong energy right now. And there are many of us who are very ready to welcome in those new friends, those new jobs, those new adventures. Totally. And yet it's still a very tender place, I think, to move through transformation and lose who we've been and shed a skin and still not know exactly how the pieces are going to fall out for us as the transformation continues. I also want to mention before we pull the card, or maybe while I'm shuffling here, that we have a really nice sweet sextile with Mercury at 28 degrees of Libra and Venus at 29 degrees of Sagittarius. So we're closing out the Mercury-Venus transits, and they will be moving on to new signs very shortly after this new moon. But they're doing this beautiful trine, which is very loving, very supporting, great for communication, great for like expressing things to your partners. And I would say it's almost like the new moon opposing Uranus is like this really deep conversation with yourself, more than anybody else, more than external context or anything like that. But the Mercury and Venus sextile is this great opportunity to maybe bring any of those realizations you've come to partners, to friends, to loved ones, to express it, to write it out, share it as art. So there's also a really artistic, fun, playful kind of conversation going on the side here as we move through this new moon. Queen of Pentacles came through. I love Queen of Pentacles, one of my favorite energies to work with. It takes me back to the message at the beginning of this chat, which was that, you know, in the end, Scorpio is a fixed sign. This is about long-term sustainable coming into comfort with our transformational state, with the fluidity of energy, right? And rather than forcing change on ourselves or shocking ourselves into change or trying to kind of like go through trauma to force change, right? The Queen of Pentacles brings a message of gently, almost in this like quiet, almost kind of cellular level, brick by brick type of energy. We build into the beauty we want to see in the world. We light our fires from the depths, and we allow that warmth to build and grow over time rather than lighting everything on fire or drowning everything in an oceanic storm. You know, the Queen of Pentacles is this very nurturing, mothering energy, and it's so interesting she's showing up here for the Scorpio new moon. She's even tied to Taurus energy, and she is one that wants us to, kind of slow down, but not slow down. I think sometimes people get really triggered by me saying to do things simply and slowly. Not everybody, but people sometimes don't like when I say that, because immediately they go to, well, I'm not just sitting on the couch all day. I'm not just sleeping all night. I want to be doing things. I want to be moving. I think for me, when I say to slow down, what I'm meaning is take a minute to come back to your energy regularly, instead of, scattering our energy to the four winds and running around. Just come back here and take deliberate, meaningful steps. You can be taking lots of actions in a day, but take the steps that feel right for you in the rhythm that is right for you. And you can only do that by accessing this nurturing, loving place inside, right? Because the Queen of Pentacles is also not motivated by fear, by punishment, by possible, bad consequences later. The Queen of Pentacles work is done from a place of motivation of love, right? A motivation of nurturance, a motivation that when we're creating something, when we're having a conversation, when we're making a phone call, when we're stepping out of the door, we are motivated by something deeper in us that feels right. And so she's asking us to come back to that, come back to our motivations, really look at them, take a moment to make sure that we aren't just bullying ourselves into action. That was a theme that was coming up with the Aries full moon, right? And even the Libra new moon, we were having this whole conversation the last couple of moons about how we're motivating ourselves, how we're moving through this life. And is it based on a sense of coming home to ourselves, or of abandoning ourselves, of bullying ourselves into something, or of feeling that profusion of love moving us through? And I think honestly, when we are willing to come back home to ourselves, sit in the center of ourselves, sit with all the parts of ourselves that maybe need love and attention, see ourselves as we are now in the transformation, loving ourselves as we are now in the transformation, that's when we truly access the motivation that is fueled with love, with self-trust, with that sense of trust in the harmony of transformation. And that doesn't take away the mystery, right? It doesn't answer those really unanswerable questions about why we lose people when we lose them, why there are such hard things going on in this world, which if I think about it, I get really emotional. We don't get answers to those questions, right? In coming home to ourselves and taking a breath, we can't fix the whole world, right? And we can't claim we have everything figured out, but what we can come back to is, at least in the transformation that's happening here, we're allowing ourselves to feel safe with ourselves. And you'd be surprised how much that makes such a huge difference to yourself, and also to the people around you and your communities, and also the way you express yourself and connect to the world. And so, yeah, we're not going to get all our answers figured out during the Scorpio new moon, but I do know that we can access greater peace here. We can love ourselves more deeply from a place that goes really to the core of who we are. It's not about the fancy show on the surface. It's not about the performance. It's not about the perfection. It's about a kind of raw, very real feeling of ourselves, and allowing that to be expressed into the world. And I think that's what the Scorpio new moon is all about. Anchoring into that so that we are prepared for our beautiful Scorpio, or our beautiful eclipse season that will be kicking off very, very soon here. I'm going to be doing a gorgeous activation for this Scorpio new moon on my Patreon. That's really where I can give more in-depth work for you all, and it's a great way to support me, and then that way I can even support you more. So I'd love, love, love to see you there. I'd love to see you here. This is such an amazing space. I appreciate you all so much. All the sharing you do in the comments, all the stories you've shared, all the wisdom you've shared. It's so beautiful. You can also find me on Instagram and my website. So I'm going to leave all my info in the description box so you know exactly where to find me, my beautiful friends. And I just wish you a really, really beautiful new moon. Take such good care of yourselves and your hearts. Connect to your spirit. I'm sending you so much love, and I will talk to you very, very soon.